Hey everyone, I thought I'd show you quickly, or maybe a little not quickly. I don't know how long this is going to be, but I thought I'd show you how to make a product in GoImagine's shopping cart software. Side note, I am a web designer and I have been using the software platform that they are using for GoImagine for about actually over 10 years. So I'm pretty familiar with it. I know it can be frustrating for people that are new to it. It's a very powerful shopping cart, so there's a lot of options which make it a little bit more difficult sometimes for certain things. So I thought I would just kind of go through how to set up a product, what a lot of little options mean, and hopefully just make it easier for you guys to set up products because um, who doesn't want to set up their products? But just remember, there's always a learning curve to anything you do. So take your time, and after a while, you'll get much faster at putting your products in. So after you log in, the first thing you want to do is go to Products and Products. You can see I already have a couple products in here, but I'm just going to add a new one. So one thing I want to mention is before you actually create your product and press this create button here, these are just different tabs that will show different information about your product. Before you press create, you only see these four, but after you press create, you're going to see quite a few more, and that's where you'll be able to change a couple different things here and there, like give quantity discounts, or actually that's already there. But there's some other ones that you'll be able to change, and we'll look at those once we create the product. So the first thing you'll notice is anything with a red asterisk is required. So there's only a few things, and they're all there at the top. The rest of information, you'll definitely want to enter in most of the information that is on this page if you can. So the first thing is a name. And in the name field is literally the name of the product, that you're gonna see. So, like this one says "Pop of Color Enameled Copper with Sterling Ear Wires." I don't know. So that's the name they entered in the name field. So for this purpose, I'm just gonna write test product. You do want to be descriptive because, of course, search engines look at the title. But you have to find that fine line between a super long title and that's going to be super irrelevant, and use your really good keywords for your title of your product. Figure out kind of the rule of thumb is every one of your products or any page you make anywhere should have a keyword focus. So one keyword that you want to focus on that you think people will be using to find this product. So in this scenario, it would be test would be my keyword, which really isn't the right word. But on my other products that I sell decals. And so most of my decals are in the shape of a state. And so usually the state is my keyword. So, don't go too crazy in your name, your title. But also, anything you enter in this field after you press create is what's used to make the link of your product. So back to this one as an example, this person obviously changed it, but when you first create it, like if this was the name and you pressed create, this shopping cart will automatically put it in as your URL. Of course, you can change that later, but if you happen to forget or whatever, you could end up with a really long URL. So just be careful with that as well. All right, the next thing is categories. You can pick more than one category, but the first category in the list that if you pick more than one, is going to be the main category. And again, back on our example here. So this one is in jewelry, earrings, dangle, and drop. So it's in several subcategories, but the main category is jewelry. And so all of that gets put in there. So, but that's the main one. And if this person also had it maybe in personalization or maybe just earrings, that would show up. It would still show up as this main link, but it would show up in these other categories when people are like searching through these specific categories. Uh, so that's a handy thing. You don't want to go too crazy. You don't want to put it in every single category. That's not a very smart move. But I would say pick your top 2 or 3. For this example, I'm just going to pick a couple just for, oh, look, there's only 3. You can only do 3. So this first one that is bolded, that's going to be my main category. So my URL is always going to have that information in it. Let's say when you went through and added this, you really want arm cuffs to be. You can hover over and rearrange these so that you have whatever one in there that you want as your main category, like the one that's most related to your product. And if you need to delete one, you just press the little X button. Okay, and then price is pretty standard. You put your selling price, full description. You can type anything you want in here, but be descriptive about your product. You have some options here. If you know HTML, you can go into the code view and manually change things if you need to, but if you don't, stay out of there because you'll confuse yourself. You have some formatting issues, like where you can put it a heading and make it a quote or a code, like change how the text looks. You can make things bold, italic, strike through. You can add a list, just a bulleted unordered list, which is always great. People do not like to read text. So anytime you can do like a bulleted list, and that's why Amazon does it at the top of their website, is they give you those bulleted lists up there. And because people really don't like to read descriptions, or very few people. But you can do an unordered list, or you can do an ordered list, which means it will go for the first line 1, second line 2, and then once you have a list, you can indent or outdent them more if you need to. The table, I don't know if this actually works. I'm not even going to mess with it. You can add a link. I don't know. I have not read through everything. I don't know if GoImagine has a linking policy to go off their page. I know like Amazon won't let you link to like your Facebook page or your own website or anything like that. You can add a line, which is just a horizontal break. So if you wanted to, maybe, if you wanted to have a break in between, that's a nifty little feature. You can align your text differently in certain areas. You can change your text color if you want. You can add an image. So to add an image, you click this, and if the image is already online somewhere, you can enter the URL there. Otherwise, if you want to upload an image, you press Browse, and then you press the little file icon here, and I'm just gonna randomly pick a picture. Of my cat and upload it. I've already uploaded a couple other ones. It might take a minute. Okay, so this is the one it just uploaded. And then if you double click on it, it puts the URL in there where it uploaded to, which is fine, and then you press insert. Close that out. So now there's a big picture of my cat. I don't know, it doesn't look like you can change the width very easily with this editor. So if you do put an image in there, you're going to want to go into the HTML view and find where you see the URL to the image, and after the last quote, type width and then equals quotation, and this is going to be how many pixels wide, so let's start with 300. Another quote, and then if we go back to regular view, it made it smaller, and you can either do width or height. I would suggest doing one or the other, that way it automatically resizes. Once you have images there, you can change the alignment as well. This is kind of a little bit more of an advanced feature, so you don't need to use it. This is just if you want to add something inline. There is a spot down here where you will add your pictures for your product, which will show up down here. And this is where you really should be uploading your images. I use this area to put my color card for my decal colors. Most people probably won't need to use that. And then you can add a video. So if you have a YouTube video, you can embed the code from your YouTube page. And that's that. Then we have our statuses. So active is obviously active, which means it will show up in search on the website. It will be like if you upload it on the website. I noticed there is a newly added area down here, newest item. So once you upload one, it should show up here until somebody else, until other people upload. I think it's, the top 6 or 12 or something. But it's active, so that means people can buy it, they can see it, it's completely active. Disabled means that the product is completely disabled. It's not going to show up anywhere on the website. You'll still see it in your product list, but it will not be available for people to even look at or buy anything from the front end of the website. It won't show up anywhere on this front page of the website or anywhere on the website. Hidden is a little bit different. Hidden's kind of cool because it's the something in between active and disabled. So essentially what hidden means is if you're working on your listing and like you have to stop for some reason, you can either leave it disabled or you can leave it to hidden. And what that means is it won't show up in the category list. Like if somebody were to go in from the menu and see it, it wouldn't show up anywhere like that. It wouldn't show up in this newest items area, but you still will be able to visit the link to it. So like another good use for this is if you're going to do a special order for someone and you need them to pay a specific amount, you could make a new hidden product and price it and make it, and give them the direct link to that hidden product. They'll be the only ones that have it. They can go through, buy it, check out, and then you can disable it after. But it doesn't. So that way, you don't confuse people. It's kind of like on Etsy, when you make a private listing. Then you have your images, and the first thing you can drag and drop. I'm just gonna randomly pick a couple pictures. Oh well, I'm gonna pick this one. So you can drag and drop them in, which is really handy. Or you can do the select image, which just opens up a dialog box, and you can upload your image. So the first image that's uploaded is going to be the main product image, and that's why it's bigger. Anything else you upload after are just going to be those little tiny pictures that people can click, and they will get bigger. If you want to change, like let's say I really want this picture to be that one, you can drag it over there. If you want to remove it, you can hover over and click the remove button. There's also the alt text. This can be handy for people who are using like Google image search. So if you have like like your product, and let's say it was that the earrings we were looking at, you could say I don't remember the exact name of those earrings, but like turquoise gold earrings or something, and you never know, it might show up in someone's search and then they'll end up on your site, your listing, and buy your product. So that's what the alt information is. The next thing is the options setting, and this is if you're going to make options for your product, like maybe you sell different size t-shirts or different colors of something. You'll set those up in a different spot, but this is where you decide if you want somebody to be able to pick the options kind of randomly in there, or if you want them to go sequentially. And that just means if they can choose the next option. I don't know, I should have pulled up an example for this. I know on my decals, I have a good example. So this is one of mine. So I have several different things that I need people to tell me to be able to customize their decal. And I, in this particular scenario, have this set to simultaneous. And that just means that they can pick the decal size and then maybe type in this and then select that and then finally pick, the color or whatever. When it's sequential, what it will show is it'll still show everything, but you'll only be able to check this, like select this box first. And then after you select that box, then this one would be eligible to select something from. It's grayed out before that. So you make them go in order. And sometimes that's really helpful if you are inventorying, which we don't really have that set up yet, but if you're inventorying things that you don't want people to get frustrated by seeing, like if they look at the size and it doesn't show the colors. But I don't really want to get too far into it. I don't think anybody needs to do sequential right now. So you can just leave it on simultaneous. The skew is completely optional, which is like, what? Why my skew? It's because this particular shopping cart doesn't store products by their skew. They store them by a number that the shopping cart assigns internally. So you can put your skew in there. I personally don't use skews because all my products are handmade. I'm the only one that does them. I don't need skews. If you don't enter a skew in there, I believe it just shows up as an empty space right there. But list price. So what this one is, which this isn't really a manufacturer suggested one, but if you put a price in here, like let's say I have the product set for 10. If I put 15 in here, and then after I create the product, if I were to go and look at it, this price would show the 10, and then it would say something on the top. I haven't tried it on how it's set up here, but it would say something about retail price 15 and have the price struck through, and then down below will say your savings of $5 or however much percentage. You can use that. I don't think really any of us apply to that, but maybe if you put something on sale, that would be a good use for that. In stock is pretty self-explanatory. How many of these things do you have to sell? So inventory. You really, as far as I know, the track inventory isn't really working, especially when you're using options in there. If you're not going to be using options, I believe the track inventory works just fine, but I'm not 100% sure about that. For me, because I make these decals to order, when people order them, I don't have to track anything. I have rolls and rolls of vinyl. I have everything, every color that I supply, I have in stock. So it's not something that I run out of. So for me, I use the unlimited do not track. That way I can use the inventory options. And then you have your minimum order quantity and maximum order quantity. This is only used if you want people to buy a certain number. So like if minimum order quantity, let's say, the only way that you would sell these is if they buy 2. They have to add 2 to their cart. Then that's what you'd put in there. Maximum would be like if you don't want to allow them to buy more than 2 or more than 10 or more than 100, then that's what you would put in there. Availability, just leave the user group on all. We don't have other user groups here. The creation date, it automatically puts whatever date that you're starting this on. You can change the date if you want. Available since, you probably don't need to fill that out. Out of stock options, if you are going to be, if it is, like those earrings that maybe they only make 10 pairs at a time and they do run out, and then eventually, they'll have 10 more to sell. A nifty thing that you can do with the shopping cart is you can do a buy in advance, so people can essentially pre-order. And if you do that, then you do have to make some changes to the dates, but I'm not going to get into that one because it's an advanced feature. Or you can do a sign up for notification. That's really cool because then people can put in their, it says it's out of stock, but people can put in their email address. And as soon as you add more stock in here and press save, it will automatically email everybody that has signed up for a notification. You'll also be able to see the people that have signed up for a notification, and but you'll be able to see it until it sends them, and then once it sends them, you don't get to see them anymore. But that's kind of nifty too. If you are selling a non-physical item, like you sell a file of some sort, like a SVG or something, it would be a downloadable. I'm not going to get too far into that, but you would do downloadable, and then there's another up here. After you press create, there'll be another tab that says files, and there's where you will upload your downloadable file. All right, and the short description is, I don't know if it's used anywhere on the site, but sometimes you can put in a short description so like that it just shows. So in the places that do show the short description, if you don't have a short description, it will take, you know, the first big chunk of your main description here and just throw it in there without any regard to when things cut off, you know, how it looks, anything like that. So you can change that for the short description. You know, maybe you want to tidy it up and make it look, or, you know, read a certain way. That's what that is for. The search words is for the internal search on this website. So it's for this search up here. It's not for Google. It's just to help, like, you know, if you're, again, your keyword would go in there. So like in my decal that's for Oregon, I definitely put Oregon and then Oregon decal. Anything you think somebody might search on the Go Imagine website goes into search words. You separate the different search words by commas. So I would do Oregon, Oregon decal, Oregon, oops, sticker, OR decal. So stuff like that. And that's just for internal, but you can also, there's another place we can put it in a second. Then this shipping time frame window is actually, or promo text, it's really a handy little thing. And I do use it. I put it, it's what's in this box right here. I just try and put my really important information that I want people to know. Like, if you do free shipping, you do not get tracking info. You know, how long does it take to ship out the order? Because like for me, I have to hand make these whenever they come in, so I need a couple days because I don't do this every day. So unlike, you know, since this isn't set up like Etsy or even Amazon Handmade, you know, you've got to put that information somewhere. I definitely put it down here, but again, people don't like to read descriptions, especially if you get wordy like I do. So I definitely try and make it look, you know, try and put the most important things there. And this is shipping, you know, pretty much shipping related stuff. And again, it's just like, you know, the different, you know, above you can change colors, add other things in there. You could add a little picture if you wanted. Like if you wanted to make a little picture that shows all your information, you could add that and upload it. So at this point, we've filled out everything on this main general tab. Typically, that's all I do. I don't mess with these other ones until I create it because I don't want to wait that long just in case something happens and I lose everything. So you go ahead and press create. And then it says your changes have been saved. And see, now that we have created it, we see subscribers, files to sell, shipping properties, you know, a couple other things. You can still change your categories and price and everything else. The product is set to hidden. That might have been because I left it on hidden. I think when you press create, if you had it on active, it would stay active. Nothing else new here. So what you can do is click this little guy here. If you want to see what it looks like, we can press preview. Open up a new tab. And now it shows what the listing looks like so far. Oh, it looks like it took out that HR, the line, so the line option doesn't work. But see, here's where we entered in the list price of $15. You save $5. You know, it's always going to say list price, but you know, it could still be, you know, a sale. We don't really have any other info over here, so you just press add, you know, and add it to the cart. We can see the other picture. Oh, voila. All right. You can also see, so why? Oh, because that's, I was like, why does it say jewelry? So as you can see, because I picked arm cuffs as the main category, uh, the product is listed under jewelry, body jewelry, arm cuffs, because that's the category structure, and then the name of the product, test product, and that name is also right here. But like on my decal, I have a longer name on here, and I don't want that long name in my URL. So I'll show you how to change this, but I changed the part of my URL to be very focused on what exactly this product is. So it's an Oregon State Home decal. I also have an Oregon State Love decal that I will be adding next. Okay, so to change that, we go to the SEO tab, and it's the SEO name, and the SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. So again, that's for search. And here it shows you, based on your category from over here, your name. And if, let's say you want to, it's like with mine, I changed that really long name from the original create to test product. Let's say you want this to be test product purple, whatever. Then you just change it there. One thing, as soon as you start to go in there, it's going to automatically checkmark this, show up and checkmark this create redirect from old URL. If your product is brand new and you haven't actually had it out there anywhere and you change the URL, you don't need to create a redirect. That just clutters up the redirect. I mean, it's not a big deal if you leave it checked, but if you change it, like if I were to go to this one and let's say I decided I wanted to add, Oregon, let's say I want to get rid of state in there, I just wanted Oregon Home decal, I would definitely leave this create redirect. And what that means is, if somebody tries to go to the original URL and I've changed it, the shopping cart will automatically redirect them to the URL we changed it to. So, and we can actually just do this as an example. So I'm going to press save. And now that it's saved, so it's test product purple, this is the one that we tested. So it's test product, but now we've added purple on the end. So if I press enter, it automatically redirects it to the new one that says purple on the end. Because if you try and go to, well, I can't do it, but if you tried to go to it, like let's say that was the original URL, you'll get a 404 error page. So that's a handy thing, especially if you decide to change it, which you really shouldn't. You really want to select this when you first are setting up and not change it. But, mistakes are made. So if you decide you do need to change in the future, you can make those changes later. The next thing is the metadata. This is all for search engines. Specifically, like here's a Google preview. So based on the info that you've provided on the general tab, this is kind of showing what Google would show your product. Like if somebody were searching and you came up in search results, it would kind of look like that. It doesn't. That's a rich snippet preview. Sometimes you'll want to add more keywords, or you want to change your page title. And the page title is up here where it says Oregon State Home Decal. Maybe I want that, instead of just being, just Oregon State Home Decal, maybe I want the page title to be Oregon State Home Decal. Maybe I want it to be personalized Oregon State Home Decal, and I want that to show up there instead in the tab. It's also what would show up possibly right here. I don't know how much this field is used anymore in search. There's been a lot of changes in search over the last 5 years or so. Meta description, I have been told by SEO experts that you don't really need to put a description in there. That is technically what would show right here. If again, it'd be this is kind of like the short description. If the browser or the search engine that people are using supports the meta description and meta keywords, then it will show this information. If you don't have that information filled out, then it'll automatically take, the first couple words or sentence from your main listing. Usually it kind of highlights what people are searching, and shows it in that little snippet area so that they know why they're being shown that result. Keywords. Now this is search related. You should fill out keywords. Essentially it's going to be the same keywords you entered in over here. So I just copy that, go back to SEO and put it in the keywords. And again, this is just to help with search. And like I said, some search engines still use the meta, some disregard it, so it doesn't hurt to have it. And then on to options. Oh, options. Options are so much fun. So to create an option, I know they have a pretty good walkthrough on that, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but you pick a name, the code you don't need to fill in. That's like essentially the SKU for this, if you have a SKU for that product, that option. The position is important, and I know they talk about this in the video. This is how it will show up in your listing. So like this is number 1, and then I actually go by 10. So this is 10, or this is 0, this is 10, 20, and 30. And the reason I go by 10s is because sometimes you might want to add another option in between, these two. And if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's say you have 50 different options, then you have to then renumber everything to get it like in between, 4 and 5. So I just personally like to go by 10s. You could go by 5s. That way you just have a couple spaces in between. So that's the position, and position is used in a lot of different things. You'll see it quite often. The inventory isn't working right now. The type that you're going to use, drop down, radio box, checkbox, text, file. You can pick whatever you want. I'm just going to go with the drop down. Description of it. The description shows up, and when you have a description, this little circly question mark shows up, and it shows what's in there. So in my description for decal color, I say, you have 35 different colors to choose from. Will people notice that? I don't know. Comment is what shows up in this kind of light gray color underneath. So I kind of try and put this helpful text, because I require somebody to fill out this personalization, but depending on, if they don't want a heart over a city, then they really don't need to fill this out. But I need it for other people, because again, people don't pay attention when they're doing this stuff. If I don't have that required, I will not have people put in the correct information. So I put down here, if you're not ordering a heart, just type NA. And I do the same thing on Etsy. That's what that little comment area is for. It's handy if people look at it. And if you want it to be required or not. And this just helps with if they start, I don't know if they're doing Google shopping or not, but because let's say we're going to do size here. Since this relates to one of these 4, a size, color, pattern, you go ahead and pick it. But like for mine on this heart, city heart, that doesn't have a related Google equivalent. And so I would just leave it on none for that. But I'm going to leave it on size, because why not? And we'll call this size. And then you can go to variants. And again, here's this position. And there's also this extra tab. And I don't know, I watched the video quickly, but so my first one would be small. If you want to create a difference in price, so if you want it to be a dollar amount or a percentage more or less, you can enter it in there. If you also need to modify the weight, if you're doing weight-based shipping, then you could do a modifier here. And then your status of, is this variant of this option available or not? Like, is it on or not? So I'm going to say there's no variance there. If you have a specific picture for this, this variant, then you can upload it here, and it will show up right under here, and they can click the variant. I guess I could go ahead and pick one real quick just so you guys can see what it looks like. Actually, I already have some on the server, so I'm just going to click server, and These are my 3 that I've uploaded. I'm just going to go ahead and pick this color card one. This is the alt text for this image that you upload, which by the way, it shows it right here. If you decide you don't want that picture, you can click the little X button and pick something different. So I'm just going to say small t-shirt. And then if you need to, you can either clone this whole one, so it would clone the same picture and everything, or you can just add another line. So I'm going to do 10 and then medium. And let's say this one's going to be $1 more, or $1.25 more. And I'm not going to upload a picture for that one. I'm going to go ahead and press create. And now we have size in here. If you need to go back, if you need to delete it, you can click the little, when you hover over it, a little icon comes up. You can click that and edit or delete it. You can also make this active or disabled. So let's say you decide you don't even want to have options, you can disable them completely. I'm gonna go ahead and edit it real quick and go back to the variants because I just wanted to show you now that we've uploaded this picture. It doesn't look like it saved the alt text. I think that's a little bug. Small t-shirt. And this alt text is, like I said, it's good for search engine optimization. So it really, it might help you. So you should definitely take the time to fill out these little things. Press save. Now I'm going to go ahead and close that, and I'm going to do I'm going to preview mine again with the, because we changed that URL. And so now on size, I have small and medium. When I change to medium, it increases the price $11.25. It also changes your list price too. And I can also, so now it says small t-shirt when I hover over it, and when I click it, it goes back to small. So that's, you know, that's handy if you are using it for like colors or something. You could put, you know, your individual color. I decided not to do that on my decals because I offer 35 colors. I really didn't want to have 35 little icons. It would really expand this bar down a lot. And I just don't think it's worth it for my particular product. But if you only offer, you know, like 2 or 3 or 5 colors, it totally could be very handy to, you know, use a picture of some sort there, of like put a little color icon, or even a close-up of the actual, you know, take an actual picture of it close up, and then you can just crop that. All right, so shipping properties. The first one is the weight. So this is the weight of your item. You might want to put this information in if you decide maybe in the future sometime you want to do weight-based shipping, or if you are doing weight-based shipping, you definitely need to put a weight in there. There's a little note about non-downloadable products. You can check mark free shipping here. That will show up the little free shipping label, but I believe, and I don't know if this is still true, we'll have to try it and see. I believe if you do free shipping here, you won't get shown your other shipping options. So I have 2 shipping options set up. I have a free shipping, and then I also have a first class shipping with tracking, and I charge like $3 for that, irregardless of weight or how many products you order. Mine's a flat rate. So I offer those 2. So when you check out, you see those 2 options. I believe, and like I said, we'll have to check, but when you have the free shipping check marked, I believe it won't show you those other options, but we will check and see. If you have a handling fee that you don't want, like, you know, like maybe you drop ship, well, that wouldn't be here, but if you were to, as in a scenario, is if you were a drop shipper, and let's say, you know, you had to charge maybe you had to pay a pick fee of like $3 or something, and you wanted to pass that on to the customer, you can add it here, and it will automatically be put into this price. And it will always be added no matter what you change the main price of your product to. So, useful or not. Items in box. This is handy if you are selling, if you're selling something really big or something that you can't add anything else to the box. As an example, I have a client that sells bikes, and they can't put two bikes in one box, and they're big boxes. So for for him, I would set up, items in a box, 0 to 1 or 1 to 1. I can't remember exactly, but they have a little field here. If you leave it 0, that means that the shopping cart will assume that everything that somebody buys could all be put in one box. When you put items in a box, like let's say you put this product of only being one item in a box, and let's say they bought two things, it would go, okay, it's 2 boxes. And that's, again, for shipping purposes, to make sure it calculates. If you're doing real-time rates, it's to make sure that you get the proper rate, so that you're not undercharging people for shipping. That's something that you don't want to do. You can also, after you put in this how many items in a box, then you can, and it could also be like, maybe you'd have, 2 items in a box, 1 to 2, put 2 in there. Then you can also then put the box dimensions in there. You always need the dimensions if you're doing real-time rates, because they can't properly, the system can't properly get you a rate if it doesn't know the size, the weight of the box. Optional settings. This YouTube link is something new. I don't know where that shows up, but you can play with that. These are the 2 shipping options that I have currently set up. So what's nice about this is, let's say you offer these 2, but let's say this particular product, you only want to allow the first class with tracking. You don't even want them to see the first class with no tracking option for whatever reason. Like maybe it's a very expensive item and you want them to have to pay, like maybe you have a priority mail or an overnight or something, or an insured option. And you only want them to have that option during checkout. You can check mark one of those. If you check mark both of them, it's essentially the same as leaving them uncheck marked. If you leave them unchecked marked, your shopping cart at checkout, the shopping cart is going to show them all those options. If you need to do tax, this unfortunately I can't help you with. I live in Oregon. We don't have sales tax. I don't really set it up very often, but you can. It looks like you can set up some rates here for if you need to charge sales tax. Quantity discounts. If you want to offer, a quantity discount of, like, let's say somebody buys 5 of these, I want to give them a 10% discount. And we're not using user groups, so just leave it on all. And then you can do that, and you can add more. Like, let's say if they order 10 products, I'm going to give them a 15% discount. And you can mix this too. So let's say if they buy 20 products, I'm going to give them a $15, flat $15 off instead. And that shows up down here. So I have it set up if they buy 5 or more, they get a little bit, 10, 15 plus. These are the breaks here. So that's pretty handy if you want to give, multi-discounts. So here's the files to sell. That's if you're doing a downloadable product. It shows up even if it's not a downloadable product. But you can click add file, add a folder. I'm not going to get into this. And then the subscriber, this one only shows up if back on the general tab you picked that sign up for a notification. You can manually add a subscriber, and you can also add subscribers from a list of users. So I think people that have previously purchased from you will show up here, and then you can add them in. So any changes you make sure you press save. I usually save in between tabs, just because I grew up in an era of computers crashing every 10 minutes. So you learn that one pretty quick when you lose everything. But that's kind of the general how you make a product, and a really quick, in my opinion, quick kind of overview on how to do everything. I hope it helps you guys.